An 82-year-old man could barely get up from a chair. His legs felt weak, his arms had lost their strength, and every doctor told him it was just a part of aging, but he refused to accept that. Instead of giving up, he made one small change to his daily meals, and within just 3 months, not only did he regain his strength, but his blood tests looked like that of a man 30 years younger. What was his secret? It wasn't eggs. It wasn't meat. It wasn't even a supplement from the drugstore. It was a natural protein source that scientists say activates muscle protein synthesis, the very process that helps your body rebuild strength even in your 70s, 80s, or beyond. According to recent research from the Journal of Clinical Nutrition, the specific protein stimulated the same muscle-building response as a 25-year-old's body. And the best part, it's easy to find, affordable, and works even better when combined with others on this list. If you're over 60 and worried about losing muscle, feeling weak, or slowing down, this video will show you the truth about protein after 70. And yes, some of these will surprise you. One of them even sounds like the devil, but it works wonders inside your muscles. You're watching Senior Vital Health, where we give you research-backed strategies to feel stronger, younger, and healthier, no matter your age. Before we get started, tell us in the comments, how old are you and where are you watching from? And if you find this video helpful at any point, consider giving it a like and subscribing. It really helps more seniors discover content that puts their health first. Now, let's count down the 6 best protein foods that help build muscle faster than eggs, especially after 70. Number 6, lentils, the budget-friendly muscle food. Most people think plant-based proteins are too weak to build real muscle, but lentils quietly prove that idea wrong, especially for seniors over 60. You see, lentils aren't just fiber-packed, they deliver 18 grams of protein per cooked cup, and that's a complete protein when combined with whole grains like brown rice. This combination fuels your muscles with all 9 essential amino acids, which are critical for stimulating muscle protein synthesis, the process your body uses to repair and grow stronger, and the benefits go beyond just building muscle. Lentils are rich in magnesium, folate, and iron, nutrients that support energy, oxygen delivery, and even blood sugar stability. That means fewer crashes, more stamina, and better strength during your day. Plus, lentils are incredibly easy to digest, unlike red meats or processed protein shakes that can bloat or upset your stomach. And since they're high in fiber, they support gut health, which research now links directly to muscle retention in older adults. Here's how to prepare them. Just rinse, boil, and simmer red lentils for 15 minutes. Add a dash of turmeric or cumin for anti-inflammatory benefits, and you've got a powerful plant-based protein meal for less than $1 per serving. And if lentils surprise you, wait until you hear what the next protein can do while you sleep. Number 5, hemp seeds. Now, let's talk about one of the most underrated muscle-building secrets hiding in your pantry. Protein number 5, hemp seeds. The tiny superfood with a massive punch. Most people think hemp is just a trendy health store item or confuse it with marijuana, but here's the truth. Hemp seeds contain no psychoactive compounds and they're legal, safe, and loaded with one of the most complete plant proteins available. Let's look at the science. Just 3 tablespoons of hemp seeds give you nearly 10 grams of protein, including all 9 essential amino acids, the building blocks of muscle. Even better, they're rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which reduce inflammation, improve recovery, and help your joints move more freely. For seniors, this is game-changing. Hemp protein is easier to digest than many animal proteins. It doesn't cause bloating. It doesn't clog you up, and it fuels your muscles gently, especially when your digestive system isn't as strong as it once was. Use it smartly. Sprinkle hemp seeds over oatmeal. Blend it into your morning smoothie or add it to Greek yogurt with berries for a post-walk recovery treat. And if you thought that was powerful, just wait until you see the next food, a protein that works while you sleep. Number 4, cottage cheese. Now, let's talk about a food that works double duty while you sleep. Number 4, cottage cheese. It's not flashy, but it's a powerful nighttime protein that works when you're off the clock. Most people assume cottage cheese is just an old-fashioned snack, but here's what you probably didn't know. It contains a slow-digesting protein called casein. That means it feeds your muscles gradually over several hours, making it the perfect evening fuel for muscle repair and growth. In one clinical study, seniors who ate cottage cheese before bed had greater overnight muscle protein synthesis, comparable to a full post-workout shake. That's because casein keeps amino acids circulating while your body rests. Your muscles don't shut down at night. In fact, much of their recovery happens then, and this protein supports that beautifully. Plus, cottage cheese also contains calcium, phosphorus, and vitamin B12, all critical for bone strength, metabolism, and nerve support in seniors. Try half a cup of low-fat cottage cheese with cinnamon or sliced peaches before bed. It's easy on digestion and won't spike your blood sugar. And if you thought that was clever, the next one is even more convenient and you can drink it on the go. Number 3, Greek yogurt. Number 3, Greek yogurt. The creamy protein that does more than satisfy your taste buds. Most people think Greek yogurt is just a tasty snack or breakfast topping, but in reality, it's one of the most powerful tools for muscle maintenance after 60. And here's why. Greek yogurt contains a special kind of protein called casein. Unlike fast-absorbing proteins, casein digests slowly, releasing amino acids into your bloodstream for hours. Think of it as a time-release formula that fuels your muscles even while you sleep. And for seniors, this steady trickle of nutrients can be the difference between muscle breakdown and muscle preservation. In fact, studies show that consuming casein-rich foods like Greek yogurt before bed can boost overnight muscle protein synthesis by up to 22%, helping your body repair tissue and stay strong while you rest. And it's not just about muscle. Greek yogurt is also rich in calcium, which protects your bones, and probiotics, which keep your gut healthy, a key part of absorbing protein effectively. Choose plain unsweetened Greek yogurt to avoid added sugars. Mix in cinnamon, flax seeds, or berries for extra flavor and a boost of antioxidants. And if you think yogurt is impressive, wait until you meet the protein that works while you sleep and targets inflammation from the inside out. Number 2, black beans. Black beans, they're humble, unassuming, and probably sitting in the back of your pantry. But don't let their simplicity fool you. These small legumes are packed with complex muscle-building power, and they've quietly been outperforming expectations in clinical nutrition studies for seniors. Here's the myth. Many older adults think you need to eat animal protein to gain or maintain muscle. But in reality, black beans can rival the amino acid profile of many animal-based sources, and they come with a bonus. They're loaded with fiber, magnesium, and resistant starch, which helps improve insulin sensitivity, a major key for aging bodies that struggle with blood sugar control. A single cup of cooked black beans delivers about 15 g of protein and 15 g of fiber. That means they feed your muscles while also supporting your gut microbiome. And if you've heard of the gut-muscle axis, you know that a healthier gut equals better protein absorption, improved recovery, and even enhanced immune function. For seniors, black beans are a triple win. They protect your heart, fuel your muscle, and regulate your blood sugar. The best part, they're easy to prepare. You can buy them canned. Just rinse them to reduce sodium. Mash them into spreads, add them to soups, or mix them with brown rice for a complete protein. Add a little cumin and garlic. And they're not just healthy, they're delicious. And if you thought black beans were powerful, wait until you hear about the final protein. This one works even while you sleep. Number 1, whey protein. Now here it is. The powerhouse that continues to top every scientific study when it comes to protein synthesis after 60, whey protein. But let's be clear, not all whey is created equal, and it's not just for bodybuilders. Most older adults hear whey and think it's something their grandson puts in a blender after hitting the gym. But modern science says otherwise. In fact, one clinical trial from the Journal of Nutrition found that seniors who consumed just 30 grams of whey daily had muscle growth similar to people in their 20s. Why? Because whey protein delivers all 9 essential amino acids, especially leucine, which is critical for activating the MTU pathway, the switch that tells your body to build muscle. Now, why is that important? Because once you pass age 60, your body becomes less responsive to regular protein. It's called anabolic resistance. Whey cuts through that resistance like a key fitting perfectly into a rusted lock. It doesn't just fuel muscles. It kickstarts growth, improves post-exercise recovery, and even helps regulate blood sugar levels, which many seniors struggle with. It's also incredibly easy to digest. That means it won't leave you bloated or uncomfortable. For best results, mix 20 to 30 grams of high-quality whey isolate with water or unsweetened almond milk. Add berries and a pinch of cinnamon to reduce inflammation and stabilize blood sugar. And here's the kicker. Many seniors report feeling more energized within just 1 week of adding it to their routine. Stronger walks, better sleep, clearer thinking. Let's take a moment to reflect on what you've just unlocked. This isn't about drinking shakes or measuring grams of protein. It's about reclaiming your strength, confidence, and independence. One smart choice at a time. Lentils that fuel your muscles. Hemp seeds that soothe your joints. Cottage cheese that repairs overnight. Greek yogurt that energizes your mornings. Black beans that stabilize your blood sugar. And whey protein, a scientifically proven ally that mimics the muscle synthesis of your younger self. These aren't luxury supplements or complicated regimens. These are everyday affordable, powerful foods hiding in plain sight. And if this video gave you something new to think about, maybe a new food to try or a new approach to your health, please do me a small favor. Like this video, comment below which protein are you adding to your meals this week, and subscribe to Senior Vital Health for more science-backed tips tailored for adults 60 and over. You're not just eating for survival anymore. You're eating for strength, clarity, energy, and quality of life. Here's to staying strong, no matter we live in a world where we often take the familiar for granted. Eggs, for centuries, have been celebrated as the symbol of nourishment, the perfect protein. But what if I told you that this belief is incomplete? That one humble food, overlooked and underestimated, contains 10 times more protein potential than the very food we've placed on a pedestal. This is not merely about nutrition. It's about truth. It's about uncovering reality where cultural myths and tradition have blinded us. The food I'm speaking about is the soybean. Yes, the modest bean that grows quietly in the soil. Unlike eggs, it does not shout for attention. But in its silence, it contains a profound lesson. That value often hides in unexpected places. 1 cup of soy contains a spectrum of amino acids, phytonutrients, and protein density that can rival and even surpass what eggs offer, especially for those over 60 whose bodies demand efficiency, recovery, and cellular repair. But the real shock is not in the numbers. It is in the implications. If one humble food can replace what we thought was irreplaceable, then how many other assumptions about health, vitality, and aging might also be false? How many limitations have we placed on ourselves simply because food has always been that way? To choose foods that serve your body's highest function is to accept responsibility for your future. It is to recognize that health is not given, it is earned. Every bite you take is a vote for strength or decline, vitality or decay. Eggs are not bad, but they are not the pinnacle. The truth is that protein is everywhere, and nature has designed multiple paths to longevity. The soybean reminds us, do not idolize one source. Seek diversity. Seek what sustains you most effectively. So the lesson is larger than diet. The lesson is about humility, about the willingness to challenge assumptions, about recognizing that even the smallest, most overlooked choices can rebuild the body, sharpen the mind, and extend the years of meaningful life. If you want to grow stronger after 60, you must choose foods that surprise you, foods that discipline you to rethink what you thought you knew. The soybean is not just food, it's a symbol. A reminder that strength often comes dressed in simplicity. We live in a world where we often take the familiar for granted. Eggs, for centuries, have been celebrated as the symbol of nourishment, the perfect protein. But what if I told you that this belief is incomplete, that one humble food, overlooked and underestimated, contains 10 times more protein potential than the very food we've placed on a pedestal? This is not merely about nutrition. It's about truth. It's about uncovering reality where cultural myths and tradition have blinded us. The food I'm speaking about is the soybean. Yes, the modest bean that grows quietly in the soil. Unlike eggs, it does not shout for attention. But in its silence, it contains a profound lesson. That value often hides in unexpected places. 1 cup of soy contains a spectrum of amino acids, phytonutrients, and protein density that can rival and even surpass what eggs offer, especially for those over 60 whose bodies demand efficiency, recovery, and cellular repair. But the real shock is not in the numbers. It is in the implications. If one humble food can replace what we thought was irreplaceable, then how many other assumptions about health, vitality, and aging might also be false? How many limitations have we placed on ourselves simply because it has always been that way? To choose foods that serve your body's highest function is to accept responsibility for your future. It is to recognize that health is not given, it is earned. Every bite you take is a vote for strength or decline, vitality or decay. Eggs are not bad, but they are not the pinnacle. The truth is that protein is everywhere, and nature has designed multiple paths to longevity. The soybean reminds us, do not idolize one source, seek diversity, seek what sustains you most effectively. So the lesson is larger than diet. The lesson is about humility, about the willingness to challenge assumptions, about recognizing that even the smallest, Most overlooked choices can rebuild the body, sharpen the mind, and extend the years of meaningful life. If you want to grow stronger after 60, you must choose foods that surprise you. Foods that discipline you to rethink what you thought you knew. The soybean is not just food, it's a symbol. A reminder that strength often comes dressed in simplicity. For most of human history, tradition has served as both a compass and a cage. It has given us rules of thumb, stories to live by, and ways of making sense of the unknown. But tradition can also blind us. It convinces us that what we have always done must therefore be the best thing to do. When it comes to health, nutrition, and the choices that sustain our bodies, tradition often lags behind reality. For centuries, the egg has stood as a symbol of nourishment. It is painted at celebrations, given to children, and praised by physicians as the perfect food. The egg is tidy, familiar, and convenient, and because of that, it has been elevated almost to the status of an icon. People say, eat your eggs if you want strength. They say, this is nature's perfect protein. But here is the problem. When an idea becomes sacred, it resists scrutiny. If you suggest that another food could provide more benefit, you are not merely offering a dietary alternative, you are challenging a cultural myth. That resistance is powerful, and it is precisely why so many of us remain trapped in habits that no longer serve our best interests. Challenging tradition does not mean disrespecting it. Eggs are valuable. They contain nutrients, fats, and proteins that have sustained countless generations. But reverence for what has worked in the past should not stop us from asking, is there something better for the present? The human body is not static. At 60 or 70 years old, your physiology does not function the same way it did at 20. Muscles break down faster, recovery slows, and the ability to extract nutrients from food diminishes. What served the younger body well may not be sufficient for the older body. To continue eating by tradition alone is to ignore the new demands of your biology. Take the soybean, for example. For years, it has been dismissed in the West as little more than animal feed or an ingredient for processed foods. Few would ever place it on the same level as eggs. And yet, when you examine the data, the story changes. In terms of protein density, amino acid profile, and its impact on muscle recovery, the soybean does more than compete with the egg, it surpasses it. Not by a small margin, but by an order of magnitude. One food that most people hardly notice quietly contains the power to transform aging bodies more effectively than the so-called gold standard. This is why challenging tradition matters, because hidden beneath the veil of assumption are opportunities for strength, vitality, and longevity that we would otherwise miss. Tradition tells us, trust the egg. Science now shows us there is another way. Which voice will you listen to? If you remain loyal to tradition without question, you surrender the chance to discover a truth that could give you 20 more years of energy and resilience. If you choose to challenge tradition, you open the door to growth. You do not abandon the past, but you refuse to be shackled by it. This is not only about food, it is about a way of thinking. It is about courage. Because challenging tradition always comes with discomfort. People may laugh, they may dismiss your choices, they may say, why complicate things? Eggs are enough. But the person who accepts tradition without question pays the price in silence. Their health declines, their strength wanes, and their years shorten. The person who dares to ask, is there something more? Becomes the architect of their own vitality. The soybean is not glamorous. It is not celebrated with glossy advertisements or woven into folklore the way eggs, milk, or meat have been. It is simple, modest, almost invisible in the hierarchy of foods we think of when we picture strength and vitality, and yet, hidden in its small, unassuming form is a nutritional powerhouse that has the capacity to redefine what we think of as true protein. For too long, our culture has equated strength with animal-based foods, eggs, steaks, dairy. But when you examine the quiet strength of soy, you begin to see that appearances deceive us, and that greatness often resides where we least expect it. Soybeans carry within them a protein density that rivals and in many ways surpasses what animal sources can provide. 1 cup of cooked soybeans delivers nearly 30 grams of protein, a volume far beyond what an egg offers. But the story does not stop at numbers. Protein is only useful if the body can absorb, process, and utilize it. Soy's amino acid profile is nearly complete, meaning it delivers the essential building blocks your muscles, organs, and tissues require to repair and grow. For someone over 60, whose muscles naturally lose mass in a process called sarcopenia, this becomes nothing short of life-changing. Eggs may provide support, but soy provides abundance in a form that is accessible, sustainable, and deeply restorative. What makes soy remarkable is not simply that it delivers more protein, it's that it delivers protein wrapped in compounds that extend health beyond muscles. Isoflavones, for example, are natural plant chemicals within soy that interact with human biology in ways eggs cannot. They support cardiovascular health by lowering cholesterol. They assist in bone strength by mimicking protective estrogen-like effects, and they reduce inflammation that silently erodes the body over time. In one food, you find both the structural fuel of protein and the healing chemistry of longevity. That combination is rare, and it is precisely why the soybean is so powerful. Think about the metaphor here. A food once dismissed as humble cattle feed turns out to be one of the most sophisticated tools for human resilience. It is a reminder that strength is not always loud, not always obvious, not always decorated with tradition and praise. Sometimes strength comes from quiet persistence, from something overlooked, waiting patiently until the world is ready to pay attention. When you eat soy, you are not only nourishing your body, you are participating in a deeper truth that real power often hides in simplicity, and power matters most as you age. When you are 20, you can ignore these truths. Your body forgives you. You can skip meals, eat poorly, and still recover. But when you are 60 or 70, every choice matters. Recovery is slower, energy is harder to sustain, and the body demands precision. In those years, food is not merely about taste or tradition, it is about survival with dignity. Soy provides a tool that matches the seriousness of that task. It is not indulgence, it is investment. To embrace soy is to shift the balance of your body in a meaningful way. It is to feed your muscles in a manner that pushes back against frailty. It is to care for your heart, your bones, your cells. It is to declare that aging does not mean decline, but that with the right fuel, aging can mean strength, clarity, and purpose. That is the power of soybeans. They are more than food. They are a strategy, a discipline, a quiet revolution in how you can build and sustain vitality in the later chapters of life. When most people talk about nutrition, they fixate on numbers. Grams of protein, milligrams of calcium, percentages of daily values. These figures matter, yes, but they are not the whole story. Numbers are neat, they provide a sense of certainty. But life, biology, and human health are never that simple. To think only in terms of numbers is to reduce the complexity of the human body to a spreadsheet, and you are not a spreadsheet. You are a living system full of interdependent processes, chemical signals, and regenerative cycles that cannot be captured by a single metric on a label. Take protein, for example. You may hear that one food has 30 grams, another has 10, and assume that bigger is always better. But protein is not a uniform substance. It is a mosaic of amino acids, each one playing a unique role. Some repair muscle fibers, others create enzymes, others regulate hormones. Without the full spectrum, protein intake is incomplete, no matter how impressive the number on the package may look. This is why comparing soy to eggs is not just a matter of counting grams. Eggs give you protein, yes, but soy gives you protein plus a broader biochemical support system, amino acids for repair, phytonutrients for protection, and compounds that interact with your cells in ways numbers cannot capture. Beyond this, we must also recognize the context of digestion. Two foods may contain the same amount of protein, but how much of that protein your body can absorb and utilize is a different question entirely. This is what scientists call bioavailability. For someone in their 20s, bioavailability matters less because their system is efficient. For someone past 60, it is everything. The body at that stage is less forgiving. It demands not just volume of nutrients, but quality and accessibility. Soy protein, being plant-based, is easier to digest for many, and it comes without the cholesterol and saturated fat that often accompany animal-based protein sources. This means not only are you fueling your muscles, you are also sparing your cardiovascular system from strain. That is not a benefit you can capture in a simple number. Health is not arithmetic, it is symphony. Each nutrient plays a part, and the harmony between them determines whether your body thrives or declines. An egg may give you protein, but it does not give you the isoflavones that help reduce inflammation or the fiber that improves digestion. A soybean does. These interactions ripple throughout the body, influencing hormones, immune responses, and even mood. If you only look at protein grams, you miss the larger symphony. You miss the way soy's compounds work together to create resilience across multiple systems. And then there is the psychological dimension. Numbers on a chart cannot measure the empowerment that comes from knowing you are choosing foods that align with your long-term vitality. They cannot measure the confidence you feel when you realize that aging does not have to mean weakness, that every meal is an opportunity to resist decline. Health is not only physical, it is also mental. To see yourself getting stronger, sharper, and more resilient because of your choices reinforces the discipline to keep making those choices. That kind of strength is immeasurable, but it is real. So, when you think of soy versus eggs, do not stop at the numbers. Do not reduce the richness of biology to a protein count. Look at the broader picture, the amino acids, the bioavailability, the protective compounds, the ripple effects through every system of your body. Numbers are a starting point, but life is lived beyond numbers. True health comes from synergy, from the way food interacts with your whole being. And in that broader sense, soy is not just more protein than eggs. It is more life, more resilience, more possibility. One of the most dangerous traps we fall into as human beings is the assumption that what we know must be the whole truth. Assumptions are seductive because they give us a sense of stability. They allow us to move through life without constantly questioning every detail. But the same mechanism that makes assumptions comfortable also makes them dangerous. They can quietly harden into unquestioned beliefs, shaping our choices and limiting our possibilities without us even noticing. And nowhere is this clearer than in the way we approach health and nutrition. For decades, we have assumed that eggs are the pinnacle of protein. Doctors, nutritionists, and parents have repeated this message until it became a cultural mantra: eat your eggs, build your strength. And it worked well enough to survive generations. But what happens when we encounter new evidence, when science shows us that a different food, when we overlooked, when we may even have dismissed, actually offers more? What happens when soybeans, quiet and unassuming, rise up to challenge the very food we crowned as perfect? The answer is uncomfortable. We are forced to confront the possibility that what we have believed for so long may not be entirely true. That discomfort is precisely why most people resist new information. To admit that soy could provide more protein and more comprehensive benefits than eggs is not just about nutrition. It is about confronting our relationship with certainty itself. If eggs can be dethroned, what else in our lives might be based on incomplete or outdated truths? How many other assumptions about aging, vitality, or even what is possible in the later stages of life are holding us back? If one tradition can be rewritten, then perhaps many more can, and that realization requires courage. Rethinking assumptions is not simply about being open-minded, it is about responsibility. When you cling to an assumption because it is familiar, you may feel safe, but in reality, you are closing the door on growth. If you assume that muscle loss after 60 is inevitable, you will act accordingly. You will surrender to weakness. You will stop challenging yourself, and your body will fulfill the prophecy you believed. If you assume that only animal protein can sustain you, you will ignore the plant-based sources that could actually serve you better. Assumptions shape actions, and actions shape outcomes. To rethink them is to rewrite the script of your own future. There is also humility in this process. It takes humility to admit that something you have always trusted may not be the full story. That does not mean eggs are bad or that tradition was meaningless. It means that life is dynamic, that truth is always unfolding, and that wisdom requires updating your understanding as new evidence emerges. This is not betrayal of tradition. It is growth beyond it. To hold too tightly to assumptions is to cling to a version of the world that no longer exists. To rethink them is to align yourself with reality as it is now. In practical terms, this means looking at soy not with skepticism, but with curiosity. What if the food you dismissed as ordinary was actually extraordinary? What if the bean you ignored had the potential to protect your heart, strengthen your bones, and give you more protein than the egg you worshipped? The only way to know is to question your assumptions and test them against reality. And when you do, you may find that the future you thought was close, one of strength, vitality, and resilience even in later life, is far more open than you believed. Health is not something handed to you. It is not a gift that arrives fully formed, nor is it a permanent state that can be taken for granted. Health is responsibility, and that responsibility rests squarely on your shoulders. Every choice you make, every meal you eat, every hour you sleep, every walk you take or fail to take accumulates into the condition of your body. Some people prefer to believe that their health is a matter of luck or genetics or chance. It is easier to tell yourself that decline is inevitable, that weakness and frailty are simply part of the aging process. But the truth is far less forgiving and far more empowering. Decline is not only about age, it is about choices. When you accept responsibility for health, you step out of the passive role of a victim and into the active role of a steward. This does not mean control over every variable. Accidents happen, illnesses strike, and biology has its limits. But within those limits, you have far more influence than you may want to admit. To choose what you eat is to cast a vote for the direction of your life. An egg or a soybean may seem like a trivial choice, but compound